Welcome people to Dan. Welcome people. I had to do it that way. Welcome everybody to Generation Dan, the comedy podcast about generational differences. I'm Atlas Novak, and I'm your millennial. Who else is here with me?
I'm Dino the Genetic Marvel. I am your old fuddy duddy.
And our guest today is Mars O'Neill. How you doing, man?
I'm all right. I don't know where I fall in the genealogy timeline. I was born in '85, so I'm an old millennial, or
Yeah, you're like an elder millennial.
Listen, you have the same advantage that my wife does. She's Asian. Asian don't raisin, black don't crack. It's not fair. You're gonna look young forever. I
still keep the house, but yeah, I'll look young.
Yeah, that's just
It'll be fine.
You'll be able to lord it over people by getting a senior's discount, but also pick up young chicks. It's not fair, right?
There we go.
Yeah, I just have to make lots of money, and I'm like, oh, fine, whatever.
Yeah, see, that's half the fun of dating somebody who's like super ambitious and just needs like the emotional support. Where I kind of let Katie know early that I'm gonna be poor for most of my life. Are you okay with that? She's like, yeah, as long as it yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
I feel like it's weird now, right? Because you can't. You're either like, hey, I want someone who's rich, but then you're like, also they're probably a whore. So you're like, how about poor and loyal? You're like, nah, that's not bad. It's a weird time. It's a weird time.
I'm the Hufflepuff of people. It's fine.
Okay. I'm not a Harry Potter fan, so I don't know what that means.
That's all right. Don't worry. Even Harry Potter friends are like,
Hufflepuff is like the house that nobody cares about. No important characters are from there. Nothing happens in like the, how like the rooms. Because like Harry goes to the Ravenclaw Tower and he goes to the Slytherin dungeons at like, in the novels. He's never been to Hufflepuff. It's just
you're explaining it, and everyone's like, it doesn't matter. It's great.
No, it doesn't matter.
That's why you're going to be poor for the rest of your life, because you're focusing on that instead of investments and things like that.
Mm-hmm. He likes to call it happiness, and I'm like, it's not. It's so much better being rich. It's easier.
I think just as long as I have the financial stability, I think I'm happy. I don't need like a Tesla or whatever.
I don't know if that's as big of a flex as people think it is.
No, it's not anymore.
Yeah, right. Like it's like, hey, I bought a car that people can shut off by themselves and screw me over. You're like, oh, that's great for you. I don't know. That's weird.
Somebody else decides when it's on or off. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and also too, like apparently there's a whole group of like old weirdos that just come up and will just unplug your car while it's charging, and you're like, oh, like that's a special type of piece of shit type person that does that kind of stuff. But at the same time, it's funny as hell. Like, because
it's like,
I left my car for 6 hours and it's not charged. God damn it! It's great.
Did you guys ever do this either when you were kids or ever seen this happen where you're in a hotel and the maid is like vacuuming the hallway and they have like the long ass cord goes around the corner and then the little shit kid runs up and like unplugs it and runs into the elevator or whatever and then they're like, God damn it. Run back. No.
Atlas, you know this more than most people. I was over 500 pounds up until like 6 months ago. Anything involving running, I just didn't do. I'm like, I observe life. Like that was.
It was like when I was in Cleveland, when we were both supposed to be in Cleveland. I saw that happen when I was in like my little fever dream. For that 24-hour period because like I ordered room service and wandered out into the hallway to go get it and then saw that happen. Remember when a lot of 2000s and 2010 songs mention how they have a car that starts with a push of a button as a flex? I have a Prius that does that, and that is the opposite of a flex as a car.
Hey, a friend of mine came to visit so we could go for a walk in a neighborhood. Just like we're old people, so we do it like we just walk around the neighborhood because we're old men. And
it's either that or they do it like you're a dog. You want to go for a walk?
A little bit, every so often. And I'm like, I like walks because the guy who does come and take me for a walk, he smokes, and I've quit smoking. And I'm like, oh yeah, because I don't get cigarettes. It's great. But at the same time, he pulled up in a Prius, and normally he drives like a Porsche Cayenne. And I'm like, somebody chop your balls off? What happened? And he's like, I'm holding onto this car for somebody. I'm like, well, okay there, buddy. You getting a divorce? What happened? Because it makes no sound, which I'm like, I don't like that. That's weird.
It's the dumbest car in the universe, but I only have to gas up once every 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Like it's
strong flex, right?
yeah.
Yeah, that's the flex right there. Just like, but your wallet is flexing. Nobody else has.
Yeah. You're the one who buys, like, I don't need free refills. I'll pay every time. You're like, because you have the extra money.
You say that, and yet I'm the guy who like keeps all of the different fast food cups in the trunk. So you like whichever one you go to, you pull it out for the. Actually, I don't do that anymore. I did that in college, though.
Yeah, that's the flex right there. Just like, I can commit to saving garbage.
Yeah,
that's a horrible thing to do. Oh God, I am so glad I grew up middle class. It was a great time to grow up in the 80s, man. I'm like, you could have money and it just didn't matter. It was fun. God.
Stop flexing.
Well, I can't. It's my birthday tomorrow. I'm going to literally flex for the next like 48, 72 hours or so.
You excited?
I don't know. It's like on one hand, like I was saying, so Mars, I've been going on a weight loss journey but like, so I'm turning 43 tomorrow, which isn't old, but because I was going into the pandemic, I was like 500 pounds. So now I'm a very athletic 270, 265 pounds, which I'm still humongous, but it's like I've also lost a person worth of fat. So it's like, but you know, like, so I'm 43 and I'm probably in the best shape of my life, which is like, it sounds very impressive. It is not. It's kind of like, man, you were really out of shape for a long time, you know? So I don't know. It's like, yeah, but at the same time, like I'm kind of, it's a weird, like, cause I turned 40, like right at the beginning of the pandemic, like 6 months into the pandemic. So it was like, I might become a zombie soon. I don't know what's happening. Like we didn't know what was going to transpire. So now I'm kind of like, I'm over birthdays in general. And I'm just like, my wife's going to touch my wiener a lot. That's fine. Yeah. That's like, listen, at this point, she's always up for it. Cause I'm like, hey, it's so accessible and a lot bigger now. It's great. And you know, those are all wins. So, but it's, you know, we're the two things that are cool is we're going to go stay in a hotel locally, just so it's like we're out of the house, away from everyone else, and just like private time, and like I don't have to put my pants on. It's great. But also too, like there's a rib fest that's happening tomorrow, like all weekend, close to where the hotel is, and I'm like, listen, I'm a fatso, like at heart, like my deep down core will always be a fat guy, so I'm like, rib fest, let's get fucked up. Like, you know, I'm buying like, you know, $70 worth of barbecue meats, and I'm like, I'm okay. It's
how long
that's true.
Until like as you get older, what's the age where birthdays are no longer like fun, and now it's like, god damn it, you know?
I don't think I used to be cool, right? Like now my drug of choice is ibuprofen, but at the same time, like if you want to be like, hey, do you want to drop some perks? I'll be like, fuck yeah, like I'm still up for it. And because I'm on, like I'm normally being healthy, like my recovery time is a lot better, like so all those things. So I'm like, it's more so when someone says, you want to party, and immediately you think of, do I have 2 days to lay in bed and just ice my joints, right? Whereas right now I'm kind of like, no problem. Like I've, in anticipation of Rib Fest, and like I'm probably gonna go for like a dumpling or dim sum buffet type thing. Like it's gonna be a lot of food, but like I've eaten probably about 1,300 calories since Sunday, like total. So I'm like, yeah, I'm eating my fill. Like it's gonna be a crazy time. So I'm like,
I'm eating my fill, but I'm also hallucinating because I've eaten 1,300 calories in what, 6 days?
Yeah, about that. So I did 88 hours. So after Sunday dinner, I didn't eat until Thursday morning. I had breakfast, and that was like a really healthy one. Like it was like eggs, avocado, feta cheese, and hot sauce.
Wait. Just so I understand this correctly, from Sunday night dinner, you did not eat until Thursday?
No, so I do long fasting. So I can have water, lemon water, and coffee with cream, and that's it for like days at a time. The longest I've done is 5 days so far. And okay, Mars, you got to understand, I'm like really, really fat. Like it's not like I still have like nothing in me is starving. Like there's like it's like walking through the grocery store and not eating steak at the same time. That's my life. Like it's like you're like, oh yeah, there's food everywhere. It doesn't make a difference because I'm so fat. So
Wow.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's a viable option. And then eventually, when I'm at a weight that is more human size and not livestock, then I start to go to like intermittent fasting or OMAD, which is 1 meal a day, stuff like that. So essentially, I can't trust myself in food. Like me and food, we are sworn lovers and enemies, like all the same time. It's like I wish I could quit you, but I'm like, no, I'm like at the same time I'm eating a cupcake. Like I wish I could, you know.
See, this is the thing I want to use AI for, is just that scene with Dino going, I wish I could quit you, and just food.
Like, and then just turning a buffet into a trough and going, yeah, that's fair. That's
caressing a steak, just like wish I could quit you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like so recently I went to Cleveland to visit some other comedians that I do shows with and stuff like that. And we pulled up to Dunkin' Donuts. So in Toronto, I'm in Toronto, Canada. We don't have Dunkin' Donuts. And
Tim, right?
Yeah, Tim Hortons, right. So when we did that, I looked at the menu and I was like, yeah, just get a nice coffee and that's cool. And of course it came in like a bucket, which I'm like, awesome, I'm fat. I love it.
Yeah.
And I saw it had snacking bacon. I'm like, I'll take a snacking bacon. And then I ate it and I felt so fat, but also so satisfied while eating the snacking bacon. So I'm like, this is a great invention, but like it is exclusively for people who have made bad choices in their life, which I'm like, I'm one of those people, so it's fine. But yeah, like it's one of those things where I'm like, if someone was like, you got snacking bacon, I'm like, I would be that guy who would be like, oh, I got my pocket bacon. It's great. So no, it's fine. But yeah, like around now, like it's more so, I would say probably for the last 5 or 6 years before the pandemic. So from about 35 years onward, it was more so it's just an excuse to hang out with friends. Like everyone will make the time because you're like, oh, it's your birthday. Well, you know, and then like we'll go to a cool place, we'll do cool stuff. They'll be like, oh, do you want a gift? I'm like, get fucked. I have more money than you. Eat my ass.
The time spent is the gift, especially like as adults, where we're just lonely as people. We got bills to pay, we got shit to do. Some people have kids, school, work, whatever the thing is. Yeah. And then like just being able to nail down everyone at the same time is like herding cats.
Yeah. That's and you know what the worst part is? The people you don't want to come are always available.
Oh, always, like,
yeah. And they're like, oh man, I'm so excited for your birthday, and you're like, I wasn't gonna invite you, bro. Like, don't.
I don't invite you. I don't remember.
And it's like it's weird because some people will be like, hey, you want to do shots? And I'm like, yeah, of course. I'm a degenerate. Like, let's do it, right? And then like I'm like another round, and people are like, well, no, I can't do that. I'm like, nah, you started this train. We're going the distance because it's my birthday. I don't give a shit, you know. So I don't care if you have to work tomorrow. I don't.
Yeah, it's always kind of a bummer when your birthday's on like a Tuesday or some shit. God damn
yeah.
Just kind of you like kick it forward to the following weekend, and you're like, all right, that's what we're doing.
But it's also like one of those things where like as a man, you're like, all right, it's my birthday. I could be special for one day. And then when we're like, it's my birthday month, you're like, bitch, shut the fuck up. Like it's not. Yeah, you're like, what? They're like, oh, it's my birthday month, so it's okay. You're like, that's not a thing. Shut the fuck up.
I got cousins like that. I think the birthday month thing works when it's just you by yourself, right? Where you're just like, it's my birthday month. I'm gonna go get fat cells or whatever thing that is actively destroying your body, or like whatever splurge or whatever. That's okay. It's different if you demand other people, bend the knee to you because it's your birthday month.
Shout out to Fat Sal's and your beautiful giant Santa.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Mars, did you go to Fat Sal's when you were in LA?
I did not, but I saw that picture and I have to go back now.
Here, it's all of the things you would think of, like, ooh, I'd order that, but I don't want to try just that appetizer. And you're like, well,
what if it's all together?
all
That particular
together.
thing is.
Oh, he froze again.
Yeah,
Come on, Atlas. Jesus.
little bit here. Like I froze and then
It's like make your own sandwich in the name app.
There you go. Hey, Atlas, welcome back.
You froze.
Okay, where? What was the last thing you heard from me?
That sandwich is like.
Okay, that sandwich was like a contest where if you can eat it in an hour, they'll like name a sandwich after you. You get to like put whatever you want on it.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
See, I'm okay. So this is the weird thing is that I'm used to eating like buffet size meals because I'm so fat, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now that I've lost weight, I'm finding that I'm like I can still eat huge, but I'm like I eat 3 or 4 meals a week, right? Like at most. So now I'm kind of like I'm like maybe I could be a competitive eater. Maybe that's a cool thing that I could try. But at the same time, I'm like that's a bad idea because I will instantly be like 500 pounds. Here I come. Like it's not, I miss being fat.
You miss being fat?
I do.
I've never heard that sentence in my entire life. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. No, it's so the difference. So I'm 6'2", and built like I'm a broad man, right? So I carry my weight well. Like even now, where I'm like I'm 270, I'm 265, 270 around there right now. I'm in flux, but like people look at me and they're like, "You're just a tall guy," and I'm like, what? I'm like, I've eaten sandwiches the size of a human being. How dare you just classify me as just a person, So it's like
everything falls just right,
Yeah, well, like, yeah, it's a weird thing because I'm like, I still have probably like right now, I have a buddy who's getting married in October, and I threw down because he was like, "Oh, I want to lose some weight," because he's got a bit of a gut, but not really. And like he's an athletic guy. So I was like, hey, try fasting because it really jumpstarts your weight loss and stuff. So he's lost like 23 pounds. I said, listen, if you don't get to your target weight for your wedding, I'm going to be letting people know that I got to my target weight and you're a fucking loser at your wedding. So those are your options, just as a little incentive, right? So
there you go.
Yeah. So now he's getting married October 1st. And my goal is to get to 240 pounds, which I'm like, that will be the smallest I've ever been as an adult, but also like.
Okay, that's a little frightening to me because that is 10 pounds away from me. Yeah, that is so fucking close. Holy shit!
And like, so it's like I'm working out daily and stuff like. So I'm starting to get like muscular, and I'm just like, that's what's gonna happen. I'm like, I don't really understand what's gonna like. It's very exciting, but at the same time, I'm like, this is by far the weirdest experience of my life. And also, too, I look forward to maybe I can get abs, and I'll just do the entire episode with my shirt up, like because I
haven't felt this violated since my sister considered doing stand-up comedy. That's too close for comfort.
Right. Okay.
Now I know how near and dear you hold stand-up. Okay.
Well, no. Here's the thing, because it's the one thing that I'm good at that my sister isn't. Where like she's the golden child,
yeah.
And like I'm the funny one. If I quit being the funny one, what do I have?
Oh yeah, just sadness.
Yeah. Suddenly I'm a short, bald guy who's not so.
Well, yeah. So interestingly enough, because I was so fat, like as I've been losing weight, and what I do is I do like reels and shorts on my YouTube channel and Facebook and stuff of me trying to do a chin up. Essentially, when I'm like, there's a process to it. Apparently, you hang, then you do scapula raises, and then you drop yourself down, and then eventually you do a pull up. So I'm going through this process, and like other fat guys that I've known through my journeys have been messaging me like, hey man, what have you been doing? And I'm like, oh yeah, like I documented everything. It's all on my YouTube channel. Just check it out. It's all there. And they're like, oh, okay. And then they're like, I'll see that they are losing weight too now. And I'm like, you're motivated because you don't want me to be smaller than you, but also like good for you. Like each
I mean, spite is a powerful emotion,
I'm driven by spite, and like I am fueled by spite and anger. Like there's no question about that. But at the same time, it's like, oh, so if I get thin, that's the line. He's like, wait, if Dino's thinner than me, I gotta make changes in my life. And I'm like, that's not a nice thing. Yeah,
there's like a hidden underbelly of like overweight guys who are just like,
oh, don't even get me started on the hierarchy, because like, so thin people will give fat people advice that you're like, listen, you've been thin your whole life. You have no reason to give advice to fat people.
Yeah.
You have no understanding, no experience. You're like, oh, I'm very hefty after like a thimble full of, get fucked. Okay. Like you are nothing in comparison to fat people. Like you are just wind. Like you're not a real person to fat people. Right. So when you give advice, it's extremely condescending. I'm like, but fat people have a hierarchy. Like I can't give advice to somebody who's not as fat as me. I can only give advice to people who are fatter than me. And I'm like, there was a time when they're like, there were not many people fatter than me. Like it was like I had to go searching to the circus or something like that before I could find people that were fatter than me.
Is it like the thing with rich people where like when they give you advice on how to make money and like their parents paid their way and
yeah. So,
that kind of thing? It's that same sort of like energy.
Listen,
so much. God.
Like it's like being fat. Now I'm starting to realize like being fat is like working retail. You have to have done it at one point in your life, because the value of that experience where you're like, oh, people are the fucking worst.
Yeah.
That's good knowledge, right?
Yeah.
Whereas like being fat, you're like fighting, like for the longest time I would explain to people like, oh, like how do you deal with women? And I'm like, I don't. That's like number one, I'm married, but even like after when I was single, I'm like, yeah, if I read a situation wrong and approach a woman, I've immediately cut off all exits. I'm like, that's not a nice situation to be in as a man, you know, because the look of terror is not good. It's not, it's right. Like it's much worse now, but I'm like, also like, I look like I could eat you. There's no, right. So it's yeah.
Mars, have you ever been like the fat guy or the fat kid?
I am now. I don't know what happened between my teenage years and now, but eating like one slice of pizza gives me heartburn. And
yeah, for real.
Right. Actually, I'm in the middle of packing right now. I'm gonna pack more after this. Me and my friends are going to the Food and Wine Festival in Epcot Center in Disney World, and my wallet already hurts and my chest already hurts because I bought something too. So
yeah, good. Pepsid AC. It's one tablet for 24 hours. It usually helps too.
Okay.
Yeah. But you can only take one for 24 hours. You can't take multiple, but you can supplement it with Tums. See, this is the kind of knowledge that a fat guy becomes expert at. You're like, oh, listen, I have a slanted pillow in my bed to make sure I'm propped up so I don't vomit and kill myself. Like little things.
Yeah.
My dad had to get that. So I was like, oh my gosh, this was happens. Okay.
Yeah.
Or to reduce the sleep apnea or whatever. Like the whole thing with God damn it.
Okay. You're already drunk as shit. That's great. No.
Well, it's not just that. Oh, that's what I was thinking of. Where I flush when I drink because it's like an Eastern European thing.
Yeah.
But like I was at my sister's wedding a couple weeks ago, and I told my cousin about it, and she's like, "Oh, you didn't know if you take what I forgot what the pill was, but it's this little over-the-counter thing, and it just prevents the flush."
Oh, get lost.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I got to text her again and ask her what it is because it's
yeah.
Because like
there's a lot of Asian.
Try it.
Listen,
I was like, yeah.
My wife is Asian, and I'm like, seriously, she takes one. She smells alcohol and just boom, beat red. Yeah. Right? It's hilarious. I make fun of her. She's a nerd. She doesn't drink or do anything. She doesn't do drugs. Like I was the cool one, and now I'm a loser.
I sweat profusely, and I'll sleep on top of an air conditioner. I'll still be drenching.
For real.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's the worst.
The hair doesn't help, you know. It's
no, you're locking in a lot of that flavor. Just that's
flavor.
Listen, man, it's one of those things where I know a couple guys who they have to walk around with a towel in the summertime, and they have their head shaved, and they'll be just wiping down, and I'm like, you go to see a doctor? That is not like that is a weird situation, right? Like,
I mean, you could just be a sweaty guy. That's
Yeah, but that's actually so my brother-in-law, like as soon as he does anything physical, like immediately he looks like he's soaking wet, which I'm like, number one, gross. Number two, like that's actually an overactive gland somewhere that does that and just turns on the sweat. And like he's in
Yeah.
great shape too. So I'm like, I want to
It
stop that
doesn't
and make you get fat with sweat. Whatever, it's fine.
sweating profusely sounds like me.
It's one of
All
those
right.
things, right?
Yeah.
I've been trying to work a bit. Like I did it while I was losing weight, where I'm like, there are 3 ways to lose weight. Okay. There's number one is you piss it out. So you drink lots of water and it goes out with your poop and with your pee. Number two is you sweat it out, which that's fucking disgusting. Okay. That's the nastiest thing you could ever. You're like, yeah, I just wear all my fat on my skin. It's disgusting. And the other one is through your breath. You actually breathe out fat when if you're really losing weight. Yeah, it's true. So it's like if somebody's breath is really stinky, like they may be on a weight loss program.
It's like metallic almost.
I sometimes, but that's more blood. But yeah, it's one of those things where you're like, honestly, I'd rather drink lots of water and have stinky breath because being covered in sweat, I'm like, as a fat person, has always been disgusting to me. And people are like, oh, just be more physically active. And I'm like, and sweat? Disgusting. Like, I'll work out now and then I'll just stop and take a little breather in the sun. And I'm like, that's fine. Just let the just cool down. And they're like, oh, but you're not going to build as much muscle. I'm like, I'm sorry. I've built enough muscle in my time. I'm good. Okay. I'm trying to decrease things at this point. It's ridiculous. Right. So
and there's that fat guy thing. The muscle weighs more than fat. You're like, I want less of
everything.
That.
Everything's got to go. It's a fire. Well, the way I see it is I'm going down to like a full factory reset, right? So I'm going to be ribs and wiener by the end and then like resculpt myself because
there's the episode title.
Yeah.
Like, why the hell not? Right? Like it's at this point, like actually hilariously, because everyone's like, oh, this is the hottest summer I ever had. And I'm like, it's quite nice out. And I'm like, it's funny what losing 200 pounds will do for your enjoyment of the climate. I'm like, I'm in the sun and I'm like, oh, this is nice. It's so much fun, right? Yeah. It's a weird, like, even now, the weirdest thing is like, for the longest time, I could bear, like, I'm in Toronto, right? So it's cold as shit. And like, I would walk around with like a puffer jacket, but like totally open in the front. And I'm like, yeah, it's fine. And then like I would get inside and touch my belly, and my belly is like frozen solid. Like, and I was like, oh, that's probably not healthy, right? So now like it's getting hotter, and I'm like, it's bearable. I'm like, oh, this is fine, no big deal. And it's just it's very weird, but you know.
All right.
It's a very like as experiences go. Like I don't know if I am enjoying it or not, but it's definitely a unique experience. So I'm like, right. It's something.
It's
how hot is it over there, Atlas? Because you look like you're already sweating.
Well, still Zyrtec. That's the name of the
Zyrtec.
That's the name of the.
It definitely sounds like a code word. Do you have any Zyrtec on you? And you're like,
oh yeah, definitely.
Do you?
It's like high 80s, low 90s. Yeah, so like still pretty muddy. It's also like it's the valley, which is there's no wind up here. That's what makes it so unbearable. If you're in LA proper, you at least get like stuff from the ocean. But in the San Fernando Valley, there's big mountains, so it's just kind of it's a valley. It's a bowl.
Interesting.
But at the same time, during the winter, because there's less wind, it's just freezing.
Interesting.
It's a more extreme version of what's going on. Do you like Biscoff biscuits? What is
Biscoff biscuits are from the UK. My wife was born in London, so she does, but I don't think I've ever had them. And I am like a super fan of cookies, but it's been so long. And also too, I'm definitely celebrating. I haven't had pizza in like real pizza. Like I've had like fat person like diet pizza. This sucks. It sucks.
I've had gluten-free pizza and
not pizza. It's just not anyone who says that, I'm like, just stop lying. Just stop lying to yourself. You're lying to everybody else. We all know the truth because a good slice of pizza is a part way. Like I might kill somebody. I definitely run them over for good pizza. Like that's Not aggressive. Like if they'd have to jump out, I'm like, I'm on my way to pizza. Sorry, that's fine. Right?
I gladly trust your opinion now, so thank you for that.
Yeah, it's but apparently because my wife I've never been to Los Angeles, and we're supposed to be going for Atlas's wedding, and for that. She's like, there's a pizza place you got to try. And I'm like, okay, I'm getting fat for Alice's wedding. Yeah.
I mean, you won't really get to stay for all that long because I'm getting married in, San Luis Obispo. So it's not.
You make it sound like I know where that is.
Okay, it's like a 3-hour drive north of the city.
So it's like a mile outside of the city, is what you're saying?
No, it's like you get out of the city, out of the traffic, and then 3 hours. So like. Realistically, probably like 3.5, 4.
God, let's splurge for something closer. Jesus.
I mean, look, I proposed to Katie, and she pulled out this like Cersei Lannister-esque binder that she's been working on since she was 6 or whatever.
Like, you have to be like the perfect husband right now.
Yeah, we're just like whatever you want, honey. Just
kind of. At the same time, though, not having the emotional labor of like deciding where to get married. What she wants for the it's been very nice in regards to like she just tells me like we're doing X, Y, and Z thing. Can you do Z thing? I'm like, yeah, totally. Like it's not
that is nice, but at the same time, like that's it's your party too, sir. It's 2023 is a different time. Make sure that you have your stink on that wedding.
Oh no, there are 3 Rush songs in the playlist for Cocktail Hour. They're in there. They're coming up.
Fair enough.
So that among other things. And then like what?
Are we allowed to know what they are? Or are you surprising everyone?
I'll tell you one of them. It's Time Stands Still from Hold Your Fire. I won't say the other 2 though.
Okay.
I gotta write that down somewhere so I can learn all the words and just freak you out because I'll just sing along. Just
it'll be while we're doing the like wedding party pictures. So like everyone will be getting wasted. I won't be there. What I'm expecting is it'll come on, and then I'm gonna come. I'll come in with Katie, and people are gonna be like, "Really?"
Listen, I think you underestimate how loud I can be. Let's just say that. Okay.
Yes, we'll see that.
Also, I'll be smaller and filled with alcohol and sugar. Like I don't eat sugar normally, and I'm this loud. It's only going to get worse, right?
That's true.
Yeah, it's going to be.
I got a question for you guys. What was your best birthday, and what was your worst birthday?
Ooh.
I do have like my worst birthday was definitely 40 because it was like 6 months into the pandemic and like people would talk on the phone wearing masks like a retard. Like it's not, there's like, I'm wearing my mask. I'm like, why can't you talk?
You're alone in your house. Yeah. That didn't really make much sense.
Best was probably after my first divorce. No, my only divorce. I don't have a second.
Yeah, I was like, you've only been divorced once. Yeah.
So far, knock on wood. You never know. Yeah. She might murder me. I'm assuming. Yeah, exactly. Right. So at this point, I don't think she can move me. I'm still fat enough that she couldn't carry me out of here and put me in a plastic bag. So I'm like, that's fine.
Okay.
But the best was probably shortly after that. I was living. It would have been 2007, maybe 2007, I think. And all of my friends got together. I was renting a place, like it was in an apartment building, and like we got fucked up. Like it was quite an event to the point where I was at the kitchen table, sitting on a computer desk with my feet on one of the kitchen table chairs, and I was asleep. So I was like, and my roommate was like, "Go to bed," and I'm like, "Huh? We're still people here." And she's like, "Everybody get the fuck out. He's got to go to bed." And they're like, "Okay." And I was like, "Why did we entertaining?" She's like, "You're a fucking retard." I'm like, "That's probably true." But
I think that's underrated in regards to partying. Like, if you have at least somebody to kind of sort of hold down the fort, even if it's your place, like, fuck it, go to bed, let the party keep going. You know?
Yeah, but she was another.
My best one. You guys remember the TV show Lost?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Did you live during the 2000s? Yes. Cool. All right. Generations.
There's a lot of people that have no taste, but yeah. I absolutely love the show, and then my friends planned my birthday around that. So all through Miami, I had to like drive and find clues and things like that, like loss related, and then we
Cool.
went to Benihana and had a good time.
Nice.
That is a
Yeah.
good.
How old were you guys turning during that?
Ugh.
If you can
See.
remember.
27.
Okay.
Yeah, I think around 27, 28, I think.
See, your late 30s, Atlas, you are now part of a weird generation, but around your like after 25, some of your friends start earning real money and stuff. So it's like
Yeah.
you can have cooler adventures.
Yeah, definitely.
But like now it's probably like your friends have to hit like 37 before they actually have anything, right? You guys
for
you guys are in
millennials
rough
you gotta
time.
wait. You gotta wait longer. Like
Yeah. It's
you
weird.
Gen Xers had more of a
Yeah, no, for
Yeah.
sure. Like
Yeah.
that was the thing is like in general, people would graduate university, find a job, start working, figure out something, and then they would be able like you would because you know if you went back then, if you went to school, you would get a job. Like it may not be the perfect job or the job you like. You may be working with assholes, but it'll be a job where you make a decent wage, right?
I mean,
Otherwise,
for my friends and I, it's been like we have jobs, but like for the most part, they're just not paying enough because it's not keeping up with inflation.
Oh no, God,
so like now as we get to our late 20s, a couple are starting to get like decent incomes. One of my friends works for Konami, and I know that sounds like my uncle works for Nintendo, but I swear to God he does.
Sure. I'm sure he does.
Yeah. So stuff like that, we're like we're able to like splurge and do that a little bit more.
Yeah.
And then in my case, I was on the poorer end, and I'm still going to be on the poorer end because now I'm a teacher. So
yeah,
what you gonna do?
You have a moral victory though, so good for you.
It's also going to be something where I don't want to blow my brains out, which is very important to me.
I think you're underestimating how bad children are. Because
I have the seniors though, so this is that's
not a positive. That's worse.
Do you agree with the fact that locals ruin everything? Now, Zaru, you are in the Nexus at Night Discord, which means that could mean local tournaments or like people in your local community. Which thing are you talking about?
I think tourists ruin everything. Mostly just white women. White women ruin everything. That's factual. Except for strip joints. Strip joints, you gotta have a lot of white women.
I was gonna say like white women ruin everything. Like that's how you got me. Yeah, ruin everything.
Yeah. And
Normies.
your wife still ruins, or your mom still ruins you. Normies. Oh yeah, no, that's fair.
Okay, yeah, then yes, probably.
That's the thing is like a lot of the times, even this is fair for just interaction, right? Like people who are local will complain about tourists and shit like that, and you're like, hey man, that's how businesses survive.
Yeah,
it's not right. So don't. Yeah, it's the same thing. Like if you go to Italy, there's a huge amount of pickpockets, and you're like, bro, you're stealing from people who are visiting, spending money. Like I've had people reach into my pocket, and then it was a little kid, and I just grabbed him by the hand and lifted him up, while all of his friends were like, and I'm like, I could eat you for breakfast, little boy. And he was just like, please don't. I'm like, then tell all your friends, leave the white ape alone. And they're like, yes, sir. It was great. Yeah. Saying normies is very gross. So I say locals. Yeah, that's fair.
All right, whatever. I mean,
fine. If you're not a normie, it's not to you. So
yeah.
For me, the best birthday. So once again, leading back to my obsession with Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Hold on, Mars didn't say what was his worst.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Worst. Ugh.
Well, because you didn't say what your worst was either.
No, my worst was this past 40.
Right.
Yeah. At the beginning of the pandemic when everyone abandoned me.
Mm-hmm.
Don't think I forget. Remember.
I think my worst was I really didn't go out with friends or anything, but my parents were just like, hey, look, I think it was like 25. My parents, hey, look, you gotta get serious about life, because I was a college dropout. I was in between jobs, and just like, look, you're not a kid anymore. You gotta do something with your life. And then when I told them I wanted to do stand up, they weren't happier about that. So it's just like
yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that was my worst. I'm still waiting for the part where it's just like, but we still love you, and that never came. It's just like, all right,
That's
straighten up, fly right, get a job, do something, go back to school, whatever.
See, we've had that discussion here, and I've told Atlas how it's like, even at the age of 29, some people will excuse people's stupidity, be like, well, they're still in their 20s, right?
Yeah.
But like, you hit 30, and it's like, adult or get the fuck out of here. Like, people have zero patience for you, right? And like, realistically, it's probably like, it's good when parents be like, hey, man, you're 25, you ain't doing shit, you need to fucking do shit, right? Like, that's one of those, like, that's a real friend. Like, your parents do care about you. Like,
Exactly.
they're mean and horrible, but they do care, right? So it's like, it's one of those, it's a weird thing, right? It's like a friend going like, hey man, you smell like shit. You're like, oh, thanks, I haven't showered in 3 days. You're like,
Yeah.
Right, so.
Thanks. I was outside a Del Taco at 1 a.m.
That was the worst.
No. It was inside joke where I shat my pants because of airline outside of a Del Taco, which go for it. I have shit in my pants right now. You're welcome. Anyway,
it's just history. It's just history.
So best birthday when I was, I think, 13 or 14. The series finale of Avatar was coming out. And they were airing the 4 episodes like back to back. So I invited a bunch of friends over, and we had a shit ton of food. And it was like, it was that time in, like, I was I think a freshman in high school. So this was when, like, okay, you got to like start having like Rager or whatever. And I was like, fuck that. I want to go watch Aang kick Ozai's ass. And then
that's fair. That's a good time.
And stuff. Yeah, it was a great time.
I still have a good time watching that.
Yeah.
Sorry. What'd you say, Mars?
No, I said it's what you like. It's not what you're supposed to like, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think the sooner you learn that as a person, the easier time you're gonna have.
Life in general it's easier, right?
Which that's one thing I like about seeing like these generations as we get older, where like there's less of the peer pressure to be cool, because there's so many like little subcultures and stuff that are visible, and it's not just like the Star Trek nerds or whatever. There's so many of them that it like now the cred is just like social media, which that's its own thing. But
oh god, I know.
I just liked that nerds can just be, all right, I'm on the football team and I also enjoy, fucking Star Trek or whatever the thing is.
Yeah. It's definitely, see, that's the thing is I think there was a huge window of time between probably like, I guess mostly influenced by the internet in the beginning, but the pandemic kind of squashes, like people would just like pretend to be cool, like, oh, that's popular, oh, that's what I like, and you're like, no, what are you talking about, right? Like, and people would just, it was that's the thing is, you're clearly lying, but they would just do just enough to be accepted into all those places, and you're like, yeah, but you're not you're pretending to be everyone else, and that's not a real thing, right? And that's like, the one thing I like about the pandemic is number one, the amount of people who have just decided to be prostitutes. Good for you. The other one is, well, Twitter is just a cesspool of horrible. I like it. It's great because I'm a pervert, but that's fine. It's also too, people are like, well, this is who I am, and I'm just going to embrace it. And you're like, you should never be like, oh, what's cool? Who gives a shit? Because you know what? Like high school, what dictates what the cool people do? I'm like, no, that's not a real thing. It wasn't real then, and it's not now.
Yeah.
Definitely. And if any of my future students are coming back and watching this episode, all of that, take that into mind. Anyway, the worst birthday I ever had was when I was 24, and that was the year that that I got like one of the worst flus I've ever had. On like, okay, you know how when you're just going about your life and you have the sneeze where you go, achoo! Oh no, Like
Oh, yeah.
it's got like the tracer to it, and you're like, I have an hour to get my affairs in order.
Yeah.
or whatever.
It's just like
So,
it starts up here,
yeah.
and you're just like, oh god, everything
Yeah.
is hurting. Oh my god.
Yeah, no. Yeah, so that was happening like the night before, and I was intending to hang out with friends, but I went to bed at like 7 p.m. because I was like, maybe I can try and sleep through it and like do it. I got up at 2 a.m. to vomit. I'm like, nope.
Yeah.
R.I.P. this birthday. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one cool thing about the pandemic was I'm like not being around people.
No
you
flu season.
didn't get a cold, like especially like how comics are. We're all idiots. So like people were like, hey, can I just spit in your mouth? And you're like, get the fuck away from me, weirdo.
Licking the microphone and everything. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and half the guys are like, I'm just gonna put my mouth right in this, and you're like, can you not make love to the mic there, fucking weirdo? And he's like, sorry, I spit all over. You're like, okay, how about don't do that? Just don't,
wipe it off when you finish, please.
Bring your own, by all means. Just plug in your own,
Yeah.
and you can fucking mouth fuck it all you want. I don't care. But
that's what I love about. So past guest of this show, Bobby Oliver, her comedy club has a big basket of like those mic condoms, right?
Yeah.
And like she's not going to start the timer until you put it on, and like
sure.
And then when you're done, just pull it off, and that's it. Like it's great. And even though the all the big waves of the pandemic are over, like COVID's still out there, of course, but
so's the flu.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like part of our lives.
So it never existed here to begin with.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Well, hey, man, it's one of those things where it's like being. I've been to like doctor's office and stuff, and someone's like, "Oh, I have a cold," so they're wearing a mask. I'm like, "Thank you, that's
awesome."
Fine thing. But when they're like, "Well, everyone has to wear a mask," you're like, "Eat my ass! I don't give a shit." And these people wearing a mask by themselves in their car, you're like, "You're fucking retarded! Like you're just a dipshit!" Right?
It made sense like before the vaccine came up, and then like while we were still doing it, and like it made sense for a while, and then now it's just like, all right,
nobody cares.
Yeah.
Listen, at least because Mars, you're down in Miami, right? Where like half the people breathe fire. You're like, okay, yeah, it's literally just walking around on fire. You're like, yeah, okay, that kills everything, right?
Yeah, one of the largest HIV cities in the world.
Well, they also breathe fire and they pee fire too. So just
hard claim to fame down here. Oh,
you know what? I've been to Miami once. I was a child, and I'm like, I'm just no thanks. It's not.
Yeah, you're not anything.
I haven't been as an adult because we would always go to visit my grandma who lived down there, but she died when I was 16, so never went like as an adult.
Well, now my we have a place in Lakes of Lauderdale, if you know where that is, and I'm like. And my mom was like, yeah, you just have to let us know and you could just go because I have keys and I could just go there. And at the same time, I'm kind of like, I'd love to go. And then you hear news about Florida and you're like, I think I'm okay. That just sounds, I'm like, like, number one, I used to be too fat. And I'm like, that sounds like a tricky thing. And then now I'm like, I'm too stupid where I'm like, I kind of want someone to try something just so I could test out the new body. But at the same time, you're going, people have guns and are batshit fucking crazy. I'm like, that's probably not a good idea. But
I think I want to wait for a meatball to either get arrested or die, or
I don't know. It's one of those things, right? Like it's definitely. I don't know. It's that's the cool part about traveling everywhere else. You're like, oh, there are crazy people everywhere, but then you're like, in the States, there are crazy people plus guns, and you're like, that's not really
concentrated areas. Yeah.
Well, listen, I'm a big target, and I feel like I would get people would just be like, can't miss that, fatso. That's a awkward thing, right? So, but no, I've had getting sick at my birthday before, and I'm like, just delay everything. That's fine. Like, because I used to get a sinus infection where I'm like, yeah, I was like, you get that and you're out for 3 weeks on like antibiotics and everything. It's fucking horrible, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's fair. No, getting sick is definitely one of those things that, oh god, it's horrible. But now that that's happened, I'm sure I'm gonna get sick this week. It'll be fun. It'll be exciting. Just after my birthday. It's perfect. Good.
Always a good time. I got the only time I got COVID was during the holidays of 2021, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh.
Yeah. So 2021, wherein Katie's nephews, who were one of them was in kindergarten at the time, and one of the parents of that kindergarten knew their kid had COVID and just didn't tell anyone. So their kid infected the entire kindergarten, who infected Katie's nephew, who infected his brother, who infected Katie's brother and his wife, who then all four of them infected me, Katie, and Katie's parents over Christmas.
I remember when you could just beat your children. That was a good time to be alive. Like,
it's not their fault. It's
it's their fault too. Those kids, they whisper right in people's mouth. They're like, "Let me tell you a secret" by spitting in your mouth. You're like, that's disgusting.
This is where you hear things.
Oh, yeah, that's you hear through your mouth. I'm gonna talk right into it. Like,
that's like the child equivalent of pee is stored in the balls. Listening comes from the mouth.
I think that would be a lot more entertaining, though. You have to admit, because some guy walking around with big old balls, you're like, "Bink!" You're like, "Ah, just pissed myself." It'd be funny.
What in the bathroom, please?
Yeah, exactly. Right.
I mean, it's just a shitty
sloshing around. They're like, "Oh god, my balls are so full." It'd be funny. I don't know. It's definitely an experience. Like, do you guys plan anything? So you guys are younger than I am. Do you guys plan your birthdays still? Like, is that no?
On and off.
No, not really.
No. I'm like, I'm gonna do cool stuff with my wife, but I'm like, I don't really give a shit.
A lot of my female friends still plan their big birthday celebration thing, but honestly, most of me and my guy friends, like after we turn like 25, 26, it's just like, if something happens and we're all free, let's go do something. But it's not,
just go get dinner with each other and hang out. Like, it's not.
It doesn't have to be a huge.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder why women continue it on so long, because even like I know a few women who are my age and they're like, "It's my birthday," and I'm like, "You're just getting old." That's all it is now. I'm like, you're just.
I mean, like, get your rocks off however you want to. I'm not really like blaming them for wanting to do that. If you find a way to have fun with it, great. Because after like 30, then it becomes a little bit of a bummer as you start getting older, and then it's because there's a Patton Oswalt bit where he talks about like you should only have about 20 birthdays you're allowed to celebrate.
That's fair.
And he's kind of right, but also like I just don't know how to feel in regards to like, do you still do stuff on your birthday? Like the way it's been so far, some years I'll be like, all right, let's get the boys together and like go bowling or something, like go do something.
Yeah.
And other years, this happens about once every 5 years, which is everyone leave me the fuck alone for 24 hours. I'm going just into the wilderness, and then I'll come back and we can hang out again.
Reasonable.
Yeah. But I don't know, because my next birthday is my 30th, so it's the last like big one or whatever until it's the decades.
I did my dirty 30 in Las Vegas, but I waited till October so I could go with other people as well. And I'm like, it's not going to be as hot and also less cheaper price. Like 30, you start being like fiscally conscious, so you're just like, it's going to be cheaper and not as many people, and it's Las Vegas. It's not going to be that hot. It was still fucking hot, but
like, just looking at groups of people just pisses me off now. It's just
that's you know what? That's the best part is like, so because we have it's the CNE, it's the Canadian National Exhibition. It's like 3 weeks in August. People go there. It's a nightmare, and my wife will like convince me every like 2 or 3 years to go. And I'm like, I get there and I'm like, this is fucking horrible. This is the worst. I'm like, there's just so many people in there. I'm like, I'm fat, I'm sweaty, this is gross. And now she's kind of like going, hey, maybe we could go this year. And I'm like, get fucked. It's so horrible. There's so many dog shit people that are hanging out there. And there's like, and then young, like, this is the thing is I'm at an age where young people think they're hot shit. And I'm like, listen, I'm 6'2", built like a linebacker, and now I'm fast. I'm like, I would love for a young person to try some shit because I will just take his eyes. Like I'll just grab him by the face and just pluck his eyes out and be like, suck my dick. I don't give a shit, you know? Yeah. So it's at the same time, so I'm like, but also I don't want to go to jail. That's that's where people touch your butt. Not interested.
Part of it is also my birthday lands always around President's Day. In fact, this year it's on President's Day.
When's
so
President's Day?
In the U.S. they combined like Washington and Lincoln's birthday into one holiday. So about mid-February, it's you get the Monday off.
With Valentine's Day, that's a nightmare.
Valentine's Day you don't get off. It's Valentine's Day. That's
Don't say that to women. It's their special day.
Yeah. But yeah, so I usually would take the opportunity. Like when I was in school, it sucked because everyone was like going on 3-day weekend, this or that. And then as an adult, it's kind of nice because you're like, all right, I can go into the birthday overnight or whatever.
Oh yeah,
it's good.
See, well, that's the other thing too, is when there are long weekends. So like right now, while we're leading up to Labor Day and, people are like, I got to go on vacation. You're like, great, I'm staying home just because everyone leaves. And I'm just like, oh, there's less traffic and everything. Like that was the best part about the pandemic was people were like, I'm going to stay inside. You're like, you do that. I'm going for a drive. It's just, I can go in 2 lanes. It's wonderful.
Once again, a Patton Oswalt quote. It's like, I am legend, but you can get a sandwich. It's great.
Yeah. And they'll just throw it at your car while you're driving.
So we know where your birthday falls, Nina. Around what time is your birthday, Mars? You don't have to say the exact day if you don't want to.
But. Late September, so basically next month.
Okay.
Ooh, nice.
So happy early birthday.
No, thank you. But so for maybe the last 10, 15 years, me and another friend of mine, we always have our birthdays in September, so it's become like a tradition to go to Food and Wine Festival, like mid-September. But obviously, herding cats, like you said, nobody can get all the days off, so that's why we're going right now. So it's like an early birthday celebration because half the people can't get September off.
That's true. You know what? Like realistically, that the idea of having to be on your birthday too is just foolishness. You're like, whenever. Especially like that's one of the cool things about the summertime is there's so many things to do where you're like, you know what? Let's do this. Everyone make time where this is going to be, easy in for my birthday. We'll just call that. Okay. That's the excuse. Let's all show up and you're paying for me.
Does Canada have like much of a like vacation culture the way Europe does, where like you just there's a 2-3 week period where everyone's just gone?
No. Well, like the end of August, if you want to go anywhere, so like parks, camping, all that kind of stuff, right up until Labor Day when kids are supposed to go back to school, like all that gets jam-packed with families, which you're like, families are the worst. You're just like, ugh, so gross.
Yeah.
It's like bragging about having sex. You're like, just keep it to yourself, weirdos, and kids are the worst too, right? Which like, good luck teaching, Atlas. It's fun.
I can no longer dogpile on that.
Well, yeah. Especially teenagers where you're just like, just fucking assholes. Like they're unaccountable and they're assholes. That's what teenagers are. So best of luck.
That makes them bigger assholes because they don't have to be accountable. Yeah.
Like I always look back and I'm like, so I'm sure you guys have something. It's here they have the Young Offenders Act. So if you're under the age of 18, technically, it's juvie, time served, like you're not gonna get shit, and then your record gets expunged or like sealed or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, if I knew that, I probably would have gone on a murdering spree when I was young because like I was full of fucking jizz and hate. It was great, So I'm like, like
jizz and hate.
Yeah, well, it's an option. It's I was also huge, so it was like
so many good episode titles. I don't know where
filled with jizz and hate. I feel like that's a common denominator in general these days.
I might save that for something else. Maybe I should pick something more birthday-esque.
Weight loss journey. Like if you write a book about your weight loss journey, just like tales of jizz and hates.
Mm-hmm.
Like realistically, the best part has been that like for every 35 pounds you lose, you gain an inch of wiener. And I'm like, I've lost so far like 185 pounds. That's a lot of inches. And I'm like, I still got more to go. And I'm like, I could see my wiener beforehand. So I'm like, listen, honestly, my wife is happy I'm just wearing pants most of the time because I'm like, listen, you see the size of this fucking thing? It's great, like
you want some?
it's she does, and I'm like, hey, this is much better than being fat. So that's also, but then people are like, prove it, and I'm like, no, I'm not gonna let you touch my wiener. I'm married and happily married to a big-titted Asian. It's fantastic. So, it's just certain things. I'm like, I still don't know how I landed it, but it worked out for me. And now I'm getting fit. You're like, hey, I should get struck by lightning eventually, or just some sort of. I'm like, I have an arm growing out of my face, something like that is bound to. Yeah.
I'm thinking the sewer mutant from Futurama, where it's like in place of his ear.
Yeah, that makes the most sense, right? Like, but also too, I'd be like, hold my beer, and just like I'd still do shit. Like it's I'd make it work. It's fine.
Yeah, you can do 3 the birds at once.
Yeah, it was ding, 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 bing.
Yeah.
If anything, like a gentleman. So, yeah. No, that's.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm not eating until tomorrow, and then I'm like, oh man, I'm eating everything at the rib fest. Well, and like just like tons of meat, coleslaw, and good cornbread. Like I love good cornbread because I'm fat.
Kind.
Yeah, it's more so that it's got to be a good like dry cornbread. Like you should have your tongue cut out if you make cornbread and it's dry. You're the worst, right? But
I'm scared to ask this. Have you heard of the Cornbread Festival in Tennessee?
Oh no, whenabouts is it during the year? Because I will jump on a bus. Like I fit in buses now, not goodly, but nobody can complain, so it's good. So
yeah.
When is that?
I don't know when it is, but I know it's in a very small town in Tennessee where they literally have nothing else besides that cornbread festival.
Oh.
They have that and the cast. I'm sure you know what a cast iron is.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the cast iron factory. That's like their big claim to fame.
Oh.
Yeah. So they have the cast iron factory and they have a big old cornbread festival every year.
You know what? The best cornbread I've ever had it was in a cast iron skillet, and it was jalapeno cornbread covered in cheese. And like you could feel yourself getting fatter, but at the same time, like you couldn't stop smiling. Like every bite, you're just like, oh, it's so good. It's so good. I feel myself dying, but it's so good. One of those things, right? But yeah. Anyways, I think that's that's birthdays. Amazing.
Birthdays.
I think it's worth celebrating, but at the same time, calm your shit down. Like just
calm your respective tits or lack thereof in your case,
amazing time.
And just try and have a good time. Just don't lord it over people, I think is the thing to take away.
And if your skin doesn't age like Mars, also keep that to yourself. Just live the enjoyment. Don't rub it in people who have a catcher's mitt for a face like me. It's not. I'm
85 years old, guys. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know I said I was born in 85. I meant I'm 85. My mistake.
Yeah, our very first silent generation person on the show. Because like the oldest we've had is what, a boomer? Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a Jim, the bus driver. He was
he was
boomer.
Great. That's the thing is boomers are at a point where they just don't give a shit. So they'll just say whatever's on their mind, which I can appreciate. Fun. It's silent generation, you're kind of like, they might stab you. They're like, can I stab you through the internet? You're like, not technically, but not really. It's
maybe.
Yeah.
It works.
Thank you so much for coming on the show, Mars.
No problem.
Where can people?
I'm sorry.
Where can people find and follow you and all that good stuff?
On Instagram, I go by O'Neill Mars, even though it's spelled One Ill Mars, ONEILLMARS. It's not a bad rap name. It's just my last name first, then my first name last.
I saw it. I was like, maybe he raps on the side. I don't know.
One Ill Mars.
It's a good rap name.
It is a good rap name.
Really not. So, too many people have called me that, and just like, "Oh, I didn't know you rapped. I thought you just did stand-up." I'm like, it's only stand-up, not rapping at all.
I mean, it's also easier to when you give it to someone to look up, because if you say O'Neill, they're like, "Is that 1 L or 2?" Is that kind of thing?
True.
Yeah. It's always a 20-minute discussion about how my first name is spelled and my last name. So yeah,
absolutely.
You're right.
Yeah, don't remind me. NOVAK, assless no cock this.
Oh, yeah. That's always the best. Is
Yeah.
is the where did it go?
Do you have a book on that on your name?
Dr.
Well-
Assless No Cock MD.
Assless.
Yeah. My middle school bully used to call me that, so it's the
Which that guy
yeah.
might
I
have
need to
been a
go.
genius.
I gotta go track that guy down. I wonder if he's like still around. Or
He's probably
where
the
he was.
Unabomber or something. Like, let's be
Maybe.
honest. It's only
He was
fair.
too young to be the
Assless with no cock right now. Wouldn't that be weird?
Anyway, you can find the show at Generation Dan on Twitter, Instagram, or you can follow me at Atlas Novak, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, or my YouTube channel, The Epileptic Comic. Or you can check out my other podcast, Nexus at Night, which is about a trading card game. How about you, Dino?
Follow me at Dino the Genetic Marvel everywhere, and you can watch my journey as I go from a land manatee to a man with a giant wiener who just walks around in Speedo. Fun times.
He goes from the whale to George Costanza, who saved the whale from the golf ball.
Kind of, a little bit. Yeah, he was thin during that season. That's fair.
Evolution, the way you described it.
What is that, a title list?
Yeah. Manatee to giant dick guy.
Yeah, like it's just a guy walking around with a slingshot bathing suit, and I'm just like, yeah. So I used to be a manatee with arms and legs, and now I'm this guy. I just, hey, what's up, ladies? And you're like, oh,
I'm Dino the Genetic Marvel, the Ass Man.
Yeah,
I don't know why I'm on so many Seinfeld references today, but it's just how I feel. So
it's contagious.
Yeah, it is. All
and
right.
you're not wearing a private shirt, so God bless you.
There you go. All right, everybody.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening. We'll see you next time.
Yeah.